It's 17:30 GMT, live from Adabraka in Accra. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM with Umaru Sanda Ahmad. And I'm here with
Mina W.
And coming up over the next 90 minutes.
Lose this match.
Moneyball is 24 hours to the premiere of the much-anticipated Anas Arimiao and Nas's expose on Ghana football. Former President Kufuor, who has viewed the video already, says it is evil.
Ghana is a country of laws. The investigations should be put to work, and of course, the outcomes should be applied strictly according to law.
Tonight, we'll tell you what our sources who have gleaned the video, which is yet to be published, can tell us about who else, aside Kwesi Nyantechi, may take the fall when eventually gets screened and the police get involved. Also coming up, incredible debate from Parliament as NDC and NPP MPs lock horns over who engaged in more borrowing.
The public debt as approved for the year 2017 would be 49.6 billion. What this simply means is that there has been an additional accumulation of 28 billion Ghana cedis within 12 calendar months.
We'll be hearing more on that particular debate. And later on Eyewitness News,
we do not defend blindly. The public has the perception that he's a quack. We will defend that he's not a quack because he's duly trained in the KNUST School of Medical Sciences.
Despite serious issues of professional misconduct leveled against him, the Private Medical Professional Association has jumped to the defense of Obinfu Hospital CEO Dr. Dominic Obin-Ando. Stay with 97.3 Citi FM for more on this and many more stories on Eyewitness News. And in business,
National Petroleum Authority opens for proposals for companies for LPG bottling plant for the cylinder recirculation model. Also, Mine Workers Union Lords Minerals Commission over sanctions concerning the accident at Newmont Ghana's Ahafo mine.
We'll be hearing more on that particular issue when Pius Emiheduku returns in 50 minutes. And Eyewitness News is live across the globe on citinewsroom.com. Your comments are welcome via our WhatsApp line 0549 986 996 0549 986 996. You can tweet at me at Umaru Sanda or at Citi973 with the hashtag Citi Newsroom. You can also tweet at Mina via at Mina W. The hashtag to use is Citi Newsroom. And later on Point Blank,
the letter from the Attorney General to the Minister of Energy and therefore government indicating clearly that they cannot abrogate the contract. So when this is clear and now your own legal advice says that this is the situation, just eat the humble pie and apologize to Ghanaians.
The Damongo Member of Parliament, Adam Mutawakilu, who is demanding an apology from President Akufo-Addo over the continuation of the Ameri deal. Tonight on Point Blank, my guest is Adansi Asukwa MP KT Hammond. He's breaking his long silence on that particular deal. Recall, he's the man who seconded the motion when it was put before the House by the Mahama administration. But first story has to do with the biggest story in town. It has to do with Anas Arimiao Anas. It has to do with number 12. It has to do with Kwesi Nyantechi. It has to do with Ghana Football Association, GALCA, if you like, Ghana, the Federation of African Football, even if you like, the Federation of International Football Associations, FIFA, are all involved. I'm going to give you a quick preview or sneak peek into what we should be expecting tomorrow in this short promo released by Anas Aremi Anas on the investigation he has conducted on Ghana football.
As human as we are, we will always find ways to complicate life as we know it. Even those who have so much will sometimes find ways of taking the little from those who don't. There is no excuse to do wrong, only repercussions. I have made it my life's mission to shine a light on those in the dark, indulging in shameless evil. I hide in plain sight. I am everywhere. I can see what they hide from you.
Lose this match.
So that's a promo that was released earlier by Anas Aremi Anas ahead of tomorrow's public screening of that documentary, secret investigative documentary he has conducted on Ghana football. Mind you, his purpose was primarily to look at Ghana football. The other issue of the politics involving the presidency or the Jubilee House appears just to be a bonus. Because he was actually set out to investigate. Indeed, this was a project he has done with the BBC, and we are told the BBC has also started running promos, and they would be screening same the following day. Now, prior to public screening tomorrow, Anas provided the privilege to some persons to view the video before time. Some select journalists were invited to view. Former Presidents John Ejekum Kufuor and John Dramani Mahama were invited to have a private viewing, and of course President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, as we've been told, has also viewed, and indeed we are told his response will be captured on the video. But let's hear what former President Kufuor said after the private viewing.
If we do that, the same day we'll get all that we want. I'm telling you.
I want the nation to be shocked of this practice, this evil. I believe Ghana is a country of laws. The investigations should be put to work, and of course the outcomes should be applied strictly according to law.
So that's former President John Ejekum Kufuor, and he says it's simply evil what he saw in that video. Now, we already know that Kwesi Nyantakyi is facing the law on this particular issue after the president recommended for him to be investigated. The police CID invited him and interrogated him. He has been granted bail. We understand also a deputy minister of state was invited, in charge of roads, was invited and also questioned on this particular issue. But this is on the political side of things. Let's talk on the sports side of things, which Anas was investigating in the first place. And I've been joined in studio by head of Citi Sports, Nathan Kwao. Nathan, you're welcome to Eyewitness News.
Hi, Sander. Thanks.
So if the investigations go the way they're going, it's very likely, of course, Kwesi Nyantakyi has already been affected. I mean, we do not know whether he will be removed or not based on what we are yet to see.
Yeah.
But who else, based on what we've been picking from our sources, should be, shaking when people go to watch tomorrow at the conference center?
It's a lot of people, according to our sources. Some executive committee members of the Ghana Football Association are in there. There are other people who I suspect will make an appearance, like referees, for example. Some media reports have already started even identifying some of the faces in the video, according to those reports. So referees should feature.
What are some of the names? Of the
referee. Well, like I said, some of the names making the rounds. Referee Samuel Suka.
Who is he and how important is he? Because I've seen him in a number of headlines.
For referee Samuel Suka, he handled a Hearts versus Asante Kotoko game sometime in 2017. The game ended 1-0 in favor of Hearts of Oak, but the game tilted really on a penalty decision awarded in the 82nd minute, I believe, to Hearts of Oak. That penalty resulted in a goal that settled the game, but it was a very controversial one. For weeks and weeks, the clip was thrown about. People had to decide, or the conversation was that it was a penalty, it wasn't a penalty, depending on the team you supported. So, according to reports, Mr. Suka is in there. There are other names.
And this game in contention may feature.
It could feature. It's likely it will feature. So, I've mentioned executive committee members of the GFA, referees. Largely, those are the people that I suspect you'll find a few club people in there, but exco members and referees largely feature in this particular expose, according to what we've picked up.
What does that mean to Ghana football? Okay, so give me the structure of Ghana football and tell me whether the effect would be like a brush from the top to down.
Well, okay, so at the very top of Ghana football, there is the executive committee. The executive committee runs the football association, essentially determines the football association. Then above that, there is the emergency committee that determines everything that happens. Now, the executive committee would meet usually at a congress or on extraordinary basis or on emergency basis, and then they'll meet. Now, when you take that away, then you have all these other things. The clubs are there. When I talk about clubs, Premier League clubs, Division 1 clubs are there. You have people from the services, sports association, people from the schools and colleges. The tertiary institutions are there as well. You have the referees association. There are people who are from the Women's Football Association. So it's a whole pyramid of the different elements which come together to form the Ghana Football Association. So the association, as we see it, it's not necessarily Kwesi Nyantakyi. Yes, he runs the association, he's the president, but beneath him are several structures that come from different portions of the terrain to make up the association.
If you look at the promo that we just played a short while ago, and there's a video edition of that, you will see money exchanging hands amongst people.
Yes.
And if you look at the BBC promo,
yes,
they are suggesting that club owners or club managers may have, paid or fixed matches ahead of a game.
Yes.
That's something we should most likely be watching out for.
Yes, that's something. If you go to watch the video, and according to what Anna said, remember Anna said he was looking at corruption in football and politics. So clearly, where and how does the game get corrupted? One place is fixing of games, essentially, which will mean bribing of referees and players sometimes. So
the players of the opposing team would be giving money to to score.
Yes, or you could.
Because if you listen again to the promo that I just played, the voice which sounded like omnipresent in that promo said, "Lose this game," which is an instruction that would be given to the referee after the money has been given to them.
Or the people who have the direct influence.
Or the players. So you are supposed to lose that game.
Well, yes. And
you have to tactically.
Yeah, you walk onto the pitch. You know exactly what you're doing. You provide a window of opportunity for the opposing team to get whatever it is they should get.
And you have fans in the stands who have paid,
and will come to the pitch.
And are very emotional,
that
attached.
You will get a result. The result doesn't happen. They don't know what's going on, but
they'll be shattered. Some will not have dinner.
Some will be very upset.
Because someone has had a dollar.
And really that's it. And that's the kind of corruption that, ANAS and the BBC want to highlight. If you look at the BBC rendition, for example, it really wants to look at the corruption of the game in West Africa. For ANAS, he's only focusing on Ghana because that's what hits home. That's what makes a lot of sense to us in this part of the world. So yes, for those who go and watch the video, so just keep your eye out. We do know, like you said, that Kwesi Nyantakyi has already been thrown in. There are clips flying about incriminating. Yes, of course, there are clips that have him saying all kinds of things in there. The presidency ordered for his arrest. He's been arrested. He's been given bail. So he's under the view of the police. From this day onwards, or from tomorrow onwards, it will be very interesting, because if people find out that they are in the video, in that expose, which is 2 hours long, and they are seen to be doing all kinds of very nasty, corrupt things, of course, those things border on criminality, and they won't have to be picked up.
So the short preview we've heard about is just a scratch on the surface of what Anas will be exposing eventually. Yes.
In terms of the promo, we've heard President Kufuor. Yesterday, I watched the promo involving President Mahama, the BBC one. So clearly, the promos are, like you're saying, just specs. They are just specs, very granular in relation to the big thing we'll see tomorrow.
Nathan, I'm not familiar with footballing rules, but should the video, and of course, this is without prejudice to what is going to be shown and what is going to be in the courts, whatever, but should it be shown tomorrow and it is very apparent in the video that someone paid someone so that someone loses a game?
Yes.
And that person, escaped relegation, and I believe we're talking about the last set of games that were played before the new season.
Yeah.
Would we even say that the league table as it stands currently would be faulty based on the findings that will be seen tomorrow?
Well, the league table as it stands reflects 15 games in this season's Xylophone Cash Premier League. So now we'll need evidence to determine that the 15 or so rounds that have been played until over the weekend have been compromised. Then that conversation can start. As things stand, records from the previous season have already been filed. They are gazetted. I think that you can't do anything to the league table, but what it will do is that it should bring people directly before the law.
Can't you say that based on the video I saw, and they say Team A, I would have been the champion, the league champion, rather than the guy who was given, for instance. And these are all extrapolations we're making.
But of course that will be very dependent. That will be very dependent on, for example, if any of these said incidents had a way of determining which team won the league eventually. That's a conversation that could be had. But like I said, that's something for the GFA's executive committee or the GFA's Premier League board to look at and decide that, okay, we've seen certain matches, some of them influence the league, and then they will decide whether or not they want to go back, overturn the score. But that would have a domino effect on a lot of things. The mathematics of docking points, awarding points, changing everything. That's why I'm saying that I think the quickest thing that the FA can do, or the various interested parties can do, is deal with this as a criminal matter, and then all those who are involved, let them face the law. But you see, for me, the far-reaching effect is that this will shake Ghana football, and then it would mean that people would have to ultimately behave themselves a lot more, and this could be the start of a huge change, a huge renaissance. But like I've always said, we've seen a lot of these things happen. The follow-through is what is most important. If we say judges, issues of biscuits with maggots, issues of SEPs are too far away from us, football hits all of us. So maybe this is the trigger we need to really shake the system and start to affect all kinds of things around us.
And this is the thing around which the nation rallies. And of course, it's a big deal.
Yes, it is
Thank you very much. Nathan Kwao is head of sports. And since we've talked about the promos to tomorrow's event, if you are just returning from Jupiter or from Pluto, the big story is that Anas Anas is screening publicly tomorrow a documentary that he has done, an undercover investigation he conducted targeted at Ghana football, Africa football, as a matter of fact, if you look at the BBC promo. And I'm just going to play that for you quickly, so if we could just hear that. And since it was created for video, I'll try and explain to you what the video is saying.
Life is short. If we have to make any meaningful impact on society, it ought to be done now.
So it opens with Anas's voice there, and he's saying that a documentary is coming that will rock African football. It says a betrayal of millions of fans. It says by dozens of referees and top officials, like Nathan talked about, based on our investigation, caught red-handed on camera taking cash before games. Match fixing, if you like. BBC Africa Eye brings you the exclusive story. That's a promo BBC is giving. And it continues to say, from one of Africa's most controversial journalists. Anas Arimia Anas, exposing West African football's rotten core. And in the footage, you see people collecting money, and the footage is titled "Betraying the Game," to air on 7 June 2018. Nathan, I know I said to you, I said goodbye to you, but the BBC there talks about West Africa, and that's the wafu element, isn't it?
Yes, I would have my suspicions that it would be so. I don't know if their rendition looks at football across West Africa in terms of an individual basis, or it's looking at, say, the wafu tournament that was played in 2017. If it is the wafu tournament, then that's very interesting. It's a tournament Ghana won. So if they are looking into it, what does it mean? Does it mean we didn't play fair to win? Does it mean we played fairly but some other countries did not play fair? Whatever happens, if they do look at that wafu tournament, Ghana will be drawn into that conversation very rigorously.
Or does it mean that we'll return the cup? Is that a possibility? I mean, you don't want to accept that possibility because
you see, I'm saying this. You don't have teams returning things they've won in football. In athletics, for example, it's very common to return your medal when you are caught for cheating. You took a wrong substance. Records can be taken away from you. Positions can be changed. It's very rare for trophies to be returned in football, even though sometimes you can't discover all kinds of things. The best that I've seen happen is that people getting punished for criminal acts and offenses.
Very well, Nathan Kwao, thank you. He's head of sports here at 97.3 Citi FM. Eyewitness News is a program. 97.3 Citi FM is a station. Umaru Sandamadu is a name, and I'm here with Mina W. Julius Apedi says, we are all thinking President Akufo-Addo is the one in Nyantechi's pocket, but we now understand is JM. My question is, did he receive 8 million? Well, I have seen a response from him suggesting he didn't, and his party officials have said so too. Promise Dumevi says, breaking news. Countryman Songo to be the MC for the premiering tomorrow and also proceed to Kumasi and Tamale. More fire, you say. Amos Kwashi says, Umaru, all speculations will be settled tomorrow. There has been several attempts to smear people with corruption ahead of the documentary by self-imposed owners of the work. Tomorrow and the day after, the narratives will change. Posterity, #Citi newsroom. Walanyo Nakwetia says, Umaru, we think BBC is fighting for the interests of Ghana, and we are happy following them. There is more corruption and underdealing in the football, in their football than we Africans. This investigation will eradicate the corrupt act in our game anyway. Anyas Gazelle says, I suspect by now some current GFA, government and GFA officials are sleeping with one eye ahead of the premiere. My ticket is under my pillow. Finally, Michael Intribosiaku says, Umaru, I'm overwhelmed and saddened by Kufuor's voice and call for justice on the expose. I can't wait to be alive tomorrow. You can also send your views at Umaru Sanda or at Citi973 with the #Citi Newsroom. You can also go on our Facebook Live and drop a comment there, and we'll read that for you on our show here on 97.3 Citi FM. Ibrahim Ali has done that. He said, Mr. Host, please tell the GFA president to resign before tomorrow because Ghanaians will come after watching. Ghanaians will come after him after watching the video, I believe you want to say. More comments coming through. This one said, my best friend Nathan watching you live from Tema. Thank you for watching. More people are giving us indications as to where they are watching the Facebook live feed from. This one says, watching from Canada. Thank you. So happy to hear from you, he says. And let the law take its course. I believe the Anas is not clean. I write from Esicado, Ketang. I believe that's in the western region. You can also send your views across. When we come back, there is a debate in Parliament. And guess what? The debate is over who borrowed more between the NDC and the MPP.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
So what we try to do on the Citi Breakfast Show is to keep a conversation flowing. So you'll typically have us do the newspaper review in a very fun, easygoing way because people are stressed out. They're going to work. We're serious with the issues, but we present it in a fun way. And there are times listeners can send us a message and that becomes the whole show. So a couple of days ago, somebody complained about the East Legon Tunnel and that became like a whole program. The idea is that the people listening to you must be giving value. So you must not think of your own comfort. You must work fast, you must be nimble, you must have a strong research team behind you. And keep people wanting more. There's music as well and there's some hard-hitting interviews. radio reflects the lifestyle of Ghanaians, and we are going through a transition as a country. Our democracy is going well. There are lots of issues that still need to be addressed, but we still have to enjoy ourselves. So we try and put all that together into a 3.5-hour show. It's not very easy, but trust me, it's exciting. It's really, really fun. Myself, Richard Sky, Kojo Akoto Boateng, and Amadi Manasante being the core of that team with a strong production base. That's what we try and do on Citi Breakfast Show.
Hi, I am Umaru Sanda. I'm the host of Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. Every weeknight, do join me for the big stories of the day as we do the analysis, the interviews, the probing questions that will help you find closure to the
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
You're welcome back. There has been a serious disagreement on the floor of Parliament over the country's current public debt stock. Now, the exchange was based on the annual public debt management report, with the minority alleging that government had piled on additional debt of 28 billion Ghana cedis within the last 12 months. According to minority spokesperson on finance, Kesalato Fortin, figures from the IMF vindicate their position on the debt position of the country. But Chairman of the Finance Committee, Dr. Mark Asibeyeboa, says the minority is being mischievous with the figures. Here are excerpts of the exchanges in Parliament.
The energy bond that was recently issued of 4.7 billion Ghana cedis, and also the UT capital bond of about 2.3 billion Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, so if you were to add this UT and capital bank bond and energy sector bond, the public debt as approved for the year 2017 would be 49.6 billion, approximately 150 billion Ghana cedis. So, Speaker, what this simply means is that there has been an additional accumulation of 28 billion Ghana cedis within 12 calendar months. 12 calendar months, 28 billion cedis. So, Speaker, this 28 billion cedis...
Order. Honorable Chairman, you raise the point of...
Mr. Speaker, rightly so. The Honorable Ranking Member is grossly misleading us. Honorable Ranking Member, if you care to know, we are debating the annual debt report for the year 2017. The bond you spoke to was issued, the UT bond was issued in 2018. So why are you adding 2018 debt to 2017 debt when we are debating the 2017 report? We are debating the 2017 annual debt report. That UT debt 2.2 billion was issued in April 2018. Please stick to facts and figures as contained in the 2017 annual debt report.
Thank you. Honorable.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I made reference to two key bonds that were issued. One, the energy sector bond. 4.7 billion was indeed issued in 2017. Mr. Speaker, again, the UT Capital Bank bond was accrued. I use the word accrued in the year 2017. Mr. Speaker, there's a difference between accruals and cash. And I'm talking of accruals, and that is why I made a reference to accruals. Mr. Speaker, in our DSA, we have a responsibility to capture what is accrued. So, Mr. Speaker, let the chairman sit down and then understand and listen to what I'm saying. You should sit down and listen to what I'm saying. Mr. Speaker, let me continue. Mr. Speaker, in continuing. Mr. Speaker, DSA is just a liability analysis.
Honorable Ranking, the chairman rises on a point of order. Go on.
Mr. Speaker, again, he says the energy sector bond, 4.7 billion, issued in 2017, is part of the stock of debt. Respectfully, that debt is not classified as public debt. It is not part of debt. Mr. Speaker, the government created honorable members. Mr. Speaker, the government created a special purpose vehicle, ESLA PLC, that issued the bond. That debt sits on the books of ESLA PLC and not on government. So, Mr. Speaker, I would urge, Mr. Speaker, I would urge the ranking member once again, Mr. Speaker, if he says,
just a moment. No, Honorable, let's not invite you. That is to ensure that there is order. I think we can have an intellectual discourse, one after the other. Honorable member who is still talking, you want to take over? I'm particularly unhappy with that kind of debate. Honorable, you may make your point.
Mr. Speaker, if he wants to speak to the public debt situation, yes, you left it at 122 billion Ghana cedis. At that time, the debt stock was increasing at 36% per year. Mr. Speaker, for 2017, the debt stock grew at 13. For 2017, the debt stock grew at 13%. So it's grown from 122 to the 140 you talked about. Don't try and pad on the debt. That extra debt is not part of public debt. The energy sector bond that was issued in 2018. So let's stick to figures provided in the 2017 debt report. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Yeah.
Honorable, you continue.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I wish to caution my chairman that his statement today may amount to misreporting on the back of the government of Ghana. Mr. Speaker, the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank has reported on their website and their booklet that the energy sector bond is part of Ghana government bonds. Mr. Speaker, what is he talking about? Mr. Speaker, please, Mr. Speaker, my argument is that we should understand, Mr. Speaker, we should understand that the Energy Sectors Levies Act is an act of parliament. Mr. Speaker, the act of parliament imposed a tax that is being drawn on the consolidated fund. And so if the minister, if the chairman of the finance committee tells me here today that it's a special purpose vehicle, and so therefore government has no, it doesn't care about it to the extent that what is approved in the energy sector is not a public domain. Mr. Speaker, I beg to say that I don't agree with the chairman of the finance committee.
Honorable Chairman.
Mr. Speaker, this cannot be the case. It is a public fund. It's a public fund that you use to service the debt, and it should be seen like that. It should be seen like that, please. Please, Mr. Chairman.
The Honorable Chairman, you have been called. You made your point.
Mr. Speaker, again, the ranking member says that. Please listen. Again, the ranking member says that the IMF reports the energy sector debt as part of government debt. That's untrue. In the IMF report, it is a footnote. The IMF says that. Listen, Mr. Speaker, it is a footnote, and the IMF says that.
Honorable members,
the IMF reports
order. I refuse to accept that there is anything laughable about this. A footnote is a further explanation of any content. Let's listen to that first. But if you are not listening to that, how can you make a judgment by laughing it off? I'm not amused by this mode of debate. Whether it is footnote or what, it could be a further and deeper explanation of that which is in the main text. Please go on.
So the 69.8% debt to GDP ratio that we have now, that is the state of our public debt. As a matter of fact, we've brought it down from 73.1, which you left it. There's a threshold. Mr. Speaker, there's a threshold. The threshold is 70%, beyond which your debt is unsustainable. Mr. Speaker, I have presented the annual debt report for 2017. That is what is before the House. So for you to bring extraneous matters and try to pad on the debt, you left it at 122. We have only increased the debt stock by 13% in 1 year. So respectfully, Mr. Speaker, I will urge my colleague ranking member to speak to the 2017 annual debt report before the House.
Those were excerpts of some MPs debating Ghana's current debt stock on the floor of Parliament earlier today. Still on Parliament, the minorities demanding an apology from the Akufo-Addo administration for unjustifiably demonizing the then Mahama-led government over the Ameri power deal. The NPP, then in opposition, had questioned the manner in which the agreement was procured. Shortly after assuming the reins of government, the NPP government set up a 17-member committee to review the terms of the agreement, which it says were not favorable to Ghana. Some days ago, it emerged that the Attorney General, Gloria Kufu, has advised against terminating the sole-sourced $510 million agreement. The AG is reported to have explained that the procurement process was not violated, hence the advice. This, the minority thinks, is a vindication of their stance, hence the demand for the apology. Adams Mutawakilu is the minority spokesperson on energy.
The letter from the Attorney General to the Minister of Energy and therefore government indicating clearly that they cannot abrogate the contract. So when this is clear, and now your own legal advice says that this is the situation, just eat the humble pie and apologize to Ghanaians. We are reliably informed that the minister is engaging Medca, which was the EPC contractor, that is the subcontractor of Ameri, to agree terms with them, then they will go and buy off Ameri. But in buying off, there must be something. We are picking up tangible information that they want to extend this agreement to 15 years instead of 5 years. And that will not be good for Mother Ghana.
Adams Mutawakil is the minority spokesperson on energy and Damango MP. And
that was Mina W. You heard there. I am Umaru Sandamadu. Let's go back on the story we just brought you, the debate in Parliament over who is responsible for how much debt. The exchange today was in Parliament and it was based on the annual public debt management report. The minority alleged that government had piled on additional debt of 28 billion Ghana cedis within the last 12 months. The minority spokesperson Kezelato 14 said figures from the IMF vindicate their position on the debt position of the country. But of course, the chairman of the Finance Committee, who is from the NPP side, Dr. Makasibi Yabua, said the minority has been mischievous with the figures. Let's see if we can find closure on this particular debate or level point on this particular debate. Professor Felix Asante is the director of the Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research, that is ISA. He's joined us on the line. You're welcome, sir, to Eyewitness News. So the debate in Parliament was over who borrowed more. Can you help us settle it, please?
Thank you very much. Before me, I have the annual public debt report as presented by the Minister for Finance. Yes, in it, yes, I appreciate that. Yes, we borrowed more. We borrowed
more when?
No, I mean certainly every government will certainly borrow. I mean, no government will borrow.
No, Prof, I mean, the debate is between when the borrowing was done and who is responsible for the borrowing. So when you admit that we borrowed more, I want to know the duration, because you are the referee now.
No, when you look into the annual public debt report as presented by the minister, when you look in the appendix, okay, there is a list of, let me be specific, Appendix 3, it says list of loans signed into 2017. Okay. So Appendix 3 states that, and it comes to about 506, 506,847,250. Okay. But then when you look at Appendix 2, it also has a list of outstanding external loans as at 2017. You know, and under that, you have the agreement date, then the maturity date. Okay. So all together is the total public debt. So it's not an issue of they've signed more. What they've signed in 2017 is stated in Appendix 3. Okay. And then the outstanding, some of them, the agreement goes back as 2000, 2003, and the maturity date 2040. Okay. So that in total is the external debt. So if the issue comes, they borrowed more or not, I don't know which document they are speaking to. But what I have, which is a report from the Ministry of Finance submitted to Parliament, everything is clear in it.
And everything being clear means what? That's what I wanted you to help me with.
The appendix states outstanding external loans as of 2017. It's there. A huge the amount, and then there's also Appendix 3 that states list of loans signed in 2017. So certainly the government has signed loans in 2017. That one, nobody can dispute it.
Okay, now the minority says that the government signed and actually piled the debt, an additional debt of 28 billion Ghana cedis within the last 12 months. Is that accurate, based on the document you have before you?
The document, I can't see that amount. So, I mean, if we are all using the same document, then we will need to sit and review it and come to that consensus. But what is before me, I can't see that. I can't see that 28. There's a tall list of outstanding loans. It's a tall list. It's how many? 100 and the list from 1 to 418. That's outstanding loans.
Where outstanding loans mean what?
For some, the dates of the agreement dates, some are 2000, some 2003, and the maturity date, some goes 2040 and other things. And
okay, so is it the case?
In that same document, they've also stated disbursed outstanding debt. Okay, so when you reconcile that with what has been signed in 2030, I haven't done the calculation. I don't know whether that is what they mean by
okay,
that.
so is it the case that is it the case that based on the outstanding loans, we are unable to calculate and say, okay, between 2009 and 2016, this is how much was borrowed, and if you juxtapose that, or maybe year on year, you could say that 2017 there was more borrowing than.
Look, I have even seen an outstanding loan. The agreement date was 1993, and the maturity date is 2029. So as for the dates, it varies. Okay, I mean, when you go through that document and you go through step by step, you notice that the loans are outstanding. I can see 1993 carried.
Okay, so but see, the debate today on the floor was whether who borrowed more. Indeed, they also referring to the same document that you are referring to now, and the minority is saying that the government had piled on the additional debt of some 28 billion cedis. You haven't seen that. The minority claims that figures from the IMF vindicate their position on the debt position of the country. Is that the case? Do you think the minority have a point?
So maybe what their calculation is, maybe as at 2017. But even when you look at the debt to GDP ratio, it doesn't show that. Now we need to target the nominal figures. That is the total debt in nominal terms. That I have to take my time and look through the document. But that is the figure that we can see the difference between 2016 and 2017. Okay.
All right. Thank you. I'm sure the debate is still out there. We really appreciate your input. Professor Felix Asante is Director of the Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research, that is ISE of the University of Ghana. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. We are coming to you from number 11, Dr. Martin Loop in Adabraka in Accra. When we come back, the group that is defending the Obinfo Hospital CEO.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
That bother your mind. The show is, of course, live on Facebook here on Citi FM's handle. Hi, I am Umaru Sanda. I'm the host of Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. Every weeknight, do join me for the big stories of the day as we do the analysis, the interviews, the probing questions that will help you find closure to the top stories that bother your mind. The show is, of course, live on Facebook here on Citi FM's handle.
So what we try to do on the Citi Breakfast Show is to keep a conversation flowing. So you'll typically have us do the news.
You're welcome back. The Private Medical Professionals Association has waded into the controversy surrounding alleged deaths at the Advanced Body Sculpt Center known as Obinfo Hospital, defending the professionalism of owner Dr. Dominic Obeng-Ando. The hospital came under scrutiny again last month following the death of Stacey Ofedako, Deputy CEO of the National Entrepreneurship Innovative Program, allegedly while on admission there. But President of the Private Medical Professionals Association, Dr. Isaac Morrison, tells Citi News the professional qualifications of Dr. Dominic Obeng-Ando are not in question.
So let's speak to Dr. Isaac Morrison now. He's president of the Private Medical Professionals Association. You're welcome to Eyewitness News. I spoke to the Ghana Medical and Dental Council last week, and they had a lot of issue with the practice of Dr. Obeng-Ando. What could be the possible justification that you have that you are having to defend him in this particular case?
Okay. Good evening to you and good evening to your cherished listeners. I just want to explain a few issues. First of all, Dr. Dominic Obeng-Ando is not a quack doctor. He was actually trained at KNUST and graduated in 1997. Thereafter, he did his house job in Konfanochi Teaching Hospital and Kolibu. After that, he worked at Bator and a few other hospitals before finally deciding to go and, found his own practice, first at Matareko and then recently moved to somewhere Wager. Now, when you finish, you get that 2 stages of getting onto the register. You have a provisional license that is giving you do your house job, and then you become permanent. You are put on a permanent register from thereafter, after the house job. So he has been on the permanent register, and we can therefore not say that he is a quack doctor. He is a general practice doctor, just like many Ghanaians around working in the various hospitals.
Okay.
So that is the side of them.
All right. So how come there's so much bad news surrounding him and his facility then?
That is something we need to all find out why that should be so. But all I remember is that sometime in 2013, they decided, he appeared before the penal committee, disciplinary committee of the Medical and Dental Council. The reason being that he had advertised. The reason being that he had advertised. I think at that time they said he had either placed a huge drawing of someone with a big hernia or whatever, and that was in bad taste. So that was the reason that took him to the council or to the board, Medical and Dental Council, to speak. And then he appeared before them. And it is at that material time that I learned that he was suspended. Now, the Medical and Dental Council sits as a high court. So when you are not satisfied with the ruling, you can appeal. And that's an appeal is available to every citizen of this country. So he appealed, his counsel appealed. So when you appeal, then it means you need the extract of proceedings in order to make your case before the appellate court. So since they sat, they would have to give the writings or the transcripts from their sitting to the council for the council to proceed. Because if it was an ordinary high court, you only go, apply, and you are given transcripts, and then you can make your case. But as to why they did not give him the council the documents, the 3 years that he was suspended has elapsed. That was 2013. So as to why his name was still not put on the register, that leaves much to be desired. And I can't explain. We need to find out why.
Okay, but that's not the only case against him. There have been other cases consequent to the one you're referring to. Again, bordering on professional misconduct.
Well, you are telling me.
I am not telling you. Actually, I'm quoting the Medical and Dental Council. So do not quote me, please.
Yes,
or you are not aware. You are not aware. In this particular instance involving the demise of the lady, the deputy NIP boss.
Yes, that's right.
What is your association's brief on the matter?
Yes. Let me say for the record that nobody is happy with any death, any loss of life, be it a child, be it whatever, no matter the circumstance. But we should also understand that all hospitals, once a hospital, you'll be associated with such instances, however sad it may be. Secondly, this is somebody who went in for a procedure. He took a consent, filled out a consent. This is a sane adult who filled out a consent. And these things happen to all of us in various, be it public practice, private practice, etc., etc. So if she filled out a consent and the procedure was done, my information is that the procedure was carried out in the morning of a Monday, and unfortunately, the patient relapsed somewhere in the afternoon or evening thereabout of Monday, and all attempts to resuscitate her, etc., proved futile. Sad as it may be, but the bottom line is that it is that you not until a postmortem has been done, which the body is in Kolebu awaiting autopsy. So postmortem will be done. We would all know exactly what transpired, and then we'll be able to pass the necessary judgment. As at now, of course, there has been a huge file against him for, so to speak, murder. And that I cannot speak to it. I cannot speak to it. So this is the situation. And I'm saying that such a situation could happen to anybody. And I quickly recall a friend who was in the chambers of Akresi, Akresi at Dankwaseke, who was to chambers. She drove herself to one of the public hospitals. In fact, we're all sitting out chatting. And so I needed to go for a procedure. So she drove there, and unfortunately, she never came back. That was last year. A public. So these things, unfortunately, I say, it is hard, it is painful, it is sad, but they happen. And it is only a postmortem that tells us exactly what went wrong. Then we'll be able to now decide what to say, whether to vilify the doctor or pass judgment on the doctor or what. But as at now, no autopsy has yet been carried out. So I cannot phantom. All I can say is that a procedure was done, and unfortunately this happened. And this can happen to anybody.
All right, let's leave it there then. Thank you. Thank you for speaking to us. Dr. Isaac Morrison is president for the Private Medical Professionals Association. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. We are coming to you from number 11, Dr. Martin Loop in Adabraka in Accra. Before we go for business, there's some trouble in the mental health area. Mina, what's the story?
Yeah, so the Mental Health Authority wants Parliament to pass the mental health bill to save the country's psychiatric from collapse. This is because the bill contains a section on a proposed mental health levy, which will be used to provide funding for psychiatric hospitals across the country. Chief Executive Officer of the authority, Dr. Akwesi Osei, explains the levy will be of immense help to the administration of the country's mental health needs.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Get the details. Every significant financial transaction, every market movement, and all the policies that affect your business. Citi Business News. Be informed.
Hello and welcome to Citi Business News on Eyewitness News. This bulletin is powered by citibusinessnews.com. That is your most comprehensive business news website. In our first story, and the National Petroleum Authority (NPA) is offering an opportunity for local companies interested in building LPG bottling plants as part of the cylinder recirculation model to submit their proposals. This move is to speed up the process for the commencement of the new model. 18 proposals have so far been submitted for considerations for the project. Now, The bottling plant will be responsible for the filling of cylinders for onward distribution to consumers. And speaking at a media session earlier today, CEO of the NPA, Hassan Tampolik, also said only local companies can invest in the new project.
The current operators and the marketers are the fulcrum around which the whole policy is to be revolved. And we have received almost about 18 license applications, not yet from the LPG Marketers Association. But we have written to them, told them that we, by reason of their peculiar placements, should apply for a license to operate a bottling plant and any other thing that they want to do in the sector. We are also minded by the local content policy that was approved on the 4th of April by Cabinet. And the local content policy identifies operations such as this one to be reserved for Ghanaian equity participation 100%. So if you are not a Ghanaian, you would not be given a license to operate in this industry, as far as this cylinder recirculation model is concerned.
You heard the CEO of the National Petroleum Authority, Hassan Tampoli. Now, the Ghana Mine Workers Union has welcomed the sanctions against Newmont Ghana Limited and the two subcontractors, DRA Ghana Limited and Consa Limited. Newmont, together with its two subcontractors, have been charged a total of $2.7 million for contributing to the accident at the Ahafo mines. The mining company has also been cited for other infractions, which is expected to comply with. General Secretary of the Mine Workers Union, Prince William Ankra, however, says the punishment could have been stiffer.
So really, what we need to ask ourselves, to what extent we don't avoid that. And I think that the committee did very well. They raised many infractions and made recommendations as to how to deal with that. So for us, as working organizations, we believe that, we all need to be very careful that, we don't allow contract firms to take employees, health and safety for granted. And that's what the report had actually enumerated. Elsewhere, beyond the fines, I've studied in the United Kingdom precisely, and in the UK, for instance, the CEO of these companies could be prosecuted and could have been jailed for corporate manslaughter. I think our law might begin to be very tough on these aspects of it so that we can get, our companies here to respect people's lives and not to just toy with safety issues here and there.
Prince William Ankra is the General Secretary of the Ghana Mine Workers Union. To some other stories now, and Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta has hinted that the media budget review will be heavy on how to improve domestic revenue for the next half of the year. Now, first quarter report from the Ghana Revenue Authority GRA showed that the government still fell short of its target of revenue collection for this year. The Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research, ISE, has also warned that Ghana can only achieve the Ghana Beyond Aid vision if domestic revenue mobilization is greatly improved. Now, speaking to journalists on the issue, Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta maintained that government is working towards improving revenue through a number of measures that will be announced in the mid-year budget review.
The issue of revenue mobilization is about you and I and corporates paying their taxes. So if currently we are about 6 million formal workers and we are collecting taxes from 1.5 million, clearly there's a 4.5 million amongst us who are not paying. So how do we encourage that to happen, and how do we get the corporates to do? We also are looking at the tax stamps for the manufacturing companies so we can track it better. We are looking at electronic point of sale systems so that will also help us, get to the average taxpayer. But I think that the real issue is whether we as Ghanaians are going to be honest with ourselves as to how we want to participate in the economic transformation.
Ken Ofori-Atta is the Minister of Finance. Let's do something in relation to the Citi Business Festival, and today President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo says there would be a restructuring of the National Board for Small Scale Industries (NBSSI) to provide first-class development services to medium and small-scale enterprises. The NBSSI is the apex governmental body for the promotion and development of the micro and small enterprises sector in the country. The lack of adequate funding has in recent times affected their effectiveness in executing their mandate. Now speaking at day 2 of the Maiden Ghana Women's Entrepreneurship Summit, the president said the government is committed to empowering the board to deliver on its mandate.
The Microfinance and Small Loan Center has in this respect been directed to disburse 50% of its loans to women engaged in small-scale farming and business. Government has also put in place a deliberate policy of strengthening the capacity of local businesses by ensuring that 70% of all government-funded contracts or projects are awarded to local contractors. Out of this, initially 30% of the contracts or projects are being awarded to women.
You heard the President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo speaking at the Ghana Women's Entrepreneurs Summit, which ended today. Now that marked the second partnered event for the Citi Business Festival. The third partnership will come off tomorrow. That is the Ghana International Petroleum Conference, that is the GIPCON. Meanwhile, the on-air series will also continue tomorrow morning on the Citi Breakfast Show. Remember, this week is focusing on marketing and branding. Now, following a report by Isoko Ghana that prices of some foodstuff went up by at least 7% between April and May this year, Citi Business News has visited the Adabaka market to find out if that indeed was the case. And here is a report.
It's a busy day at the Adabraka market. Traders displaying their wares, customers coming in to buy. Seated in front of one of the market gates is this woman. She sells plantain and cocoyam, a trade she's been doing for the past 5 years. She tells me hikes in the prices of foodstuffs, especially what she sells, are normal. But between May and April this year, she has seen an increase.
We don't make any profit, but that is what we do for a living. So we don't have a choice. At first, we could buy the cocoyam at 50 Ghana cedis. But now, it's about 100 Ghana cedis.
1 million. Just seated close to her is this young lady. She sells yam. She's not the owner though. Her mom is.
Actually, the yam is not for me, but it's for my mom.
But she tells me the price of the yam has increased, although she's not able to tell which period it happened.
When I asked her, she said, nowadays, things are not going on well, and the prices of the things are going high. And in fact, for the yam, nowadays, yam is not there, so the yam is very, very...
Those were some market women speaking to my colleague Pearl Akanyo-Ofori in that report. Then that is it for Citi Business News on Eyewitness News, brought to you by citibusinessnews.com. My name is Pius Amehe Eduku. Up next is Point Blank with Umaru Sanda Amadou.